Hi there, I'm Bridget Hart. I'm here at my studio in Carmichael, California, and today I come to show you how to thread a needle. It's a basic skill, and if you haven't threaded a needle before, I'm going to show you how to do it. I have several needles here, I have embroidery floss, and I have some scissors, and I have in front of you my embroidery kit. It's a needle and stitch book that I sell at my website, and then here is like the instruction booklet and the little kit itself with all the different pieces that you get when you put it together. But in case you don't know how to sew and you've never sewn before but you'd like to learn, I'm going to show you how to thread a needle. So let's begin. There's different types of needles. There's big ones that are great for like denim or very sturdy or thick fabric, and they have a bigger eye. And then there's thin ones, there's all kinds of ones for silk, everything. For this purpose, you are going to be using one for embroidery because the embroidery floss is a little thicker and you could use more than one strand, and I'm going to show you how to take apart the embroidery floss as well. So for purposes, I'm going to use the white. So this is the embroidery floss, and with the kit you receive a bunch of different colors, and there's so many beautiful colors available, more than you can imagine. So this is what it looks like, and it has two paper things at the end, and you just pull them off. And there is a certain way to do that so that it's easy to find the end, and then it just keeps, it doesn't knot up when you pull one of the ends. Well, sometimes I know what it is and sometimes I don't, so I'm sorry. There is a trick to it. They recommend, you know, for beginners especially, to use the length of your elbow. I'm going to double the thread, so I'm going to use twice that length, which is about a yard or so. So I'm going to take about a yard of the embroidery floss and I'm going to cut it like that. And that's basically the length you get. Each strand is about this length when you get it from the embroidery kit. Now there are 6 strands to each of these embroidery flosses. So you will see there's different kinds, there's different weights and all that stuff. So I'm going to separate these. Now I'm only going to use one of these strands, but it's a little more difficult to just separate one strand. So I like to separate 2 strands at a time. And I'm going to just take 2 strands here, and then this side has the 4 strands. All right, and I'm going to just lift it up from the surface, and I'm going to pull them apart, and you'll notice that the thread starts twisting. So sometimes you can make it through the whole thread if you go slow enough without it knotting up at the end, but sometimes you will have to take your fingers and pull it gently away. So here's the 2 strands and here's the 4 strands. Okay, so now I said I was going to use 1 strand. So since these are 2 strands, I want to separate them. So I'm going to separate the strands, and I'm going to hold them separately, and I'm going to actually use my finger and pull it apart like this so that they stay separate, because they will like to twist up on themselves, as you see it's doing here. So you can see what I'm talking about. It's kind of twisted up on itself, and it could form a knot. So that's why I kind of use, I pull it a little bit, and then I use my fingers to unravel it, and then you just kind of pull it apart gently. So the slower you go, the less it's going to knot up on itself. It's just because the thread is so twisted that that's just natural for it to do that. So now here's 1 thread, and I'm going to take my big needle, since it's better for demonstration purposes, and I'm going to enter the thread into the needle eye, and it's big enough so that I don't need any additional assistance. And then I'm going to even out the edge here, the ends, and I'm going to knot them together. So I loop it around my finger, and then I pull it from underneath, and I pull it through the hole. And I'm gonna do a double knot, so I'm gonna do that one more time. Pull it from underneath, and so then you have a loop, and then the loop is going to get tightened. I'm just gonna pull it all the way to as close to the end as possible. So I pull the ends and I just kind of push that knot in. So now you'll have a knot that won't go through the fabric when you're sewing. So that is one strand of fabric doubled up into one knot right there. All right, and that's all you'll need to sew the little booklet, or anything for that matter. Now I'm going to use another method. So I'm going to take another needle, and I have my other single strand right here, but this time I'm going to even those guys out, and I'm going to take this part with the loop, and I'm going to thread it through the eye of the needle. So it's going to take a little precision depending on the size of the eye of the needle. So now I have the thread through the needle, and this is an adjustable length. So this is an adjustable thread. So as you go, you will notice that this tail will get shorter and shorter and shorter until you have to stop. Anyway, I'm going to take this and I'm going to knot it up just like I did that one. Okay, and so then I'm going to just pull the knot as close to the edge as possible. Okay, and you can leave. I like leaving tails. Some people like to cut it real close, but I like leaving tails because that kind of shows me, and then if I wanted to, I could at the end cut all the tails off. But I like to leave it there. It shows that somebody actually made it with hands and not a machine. I don't know. Anyway, so this is an adjustable thread now, so you can adjust it. You can start that, and so you could do that too. It's just as easy. It's just that you're going to have to pay attention that your tail doesn't go all the way through the needle. Otherwise, you'd have to thread it again. All right. So there's two different ways to do it. Now I'm going to show you how to thread using the tool, the threader tool, which I love, especially like if the light is dim or my eyes aren't working so great. This is a great way to thread a needle. So I'm going to take a needle. I'm actually going to use the 4 strands that are left here, and I'm going to thread that through the needle. Now, this eye of the needle is pretty small. It's actually very small, and I'm like, how am I going to get that through there? Well, it's almost impossible without a threader. So I'm going to put my threader through the needle, through the eye of the needle, so you can see it's moving back and forth. And then I'm going to take my thread, and I'm going to put the thread through the little fine wire right there. So you see it there. Then I'm going to take the needle, I'm going to push it all the way to the end, and then I'm going to force it through the eye. Now this is a very tiny eye and there's a lot of thread there, but if you yank it enough, it should work. Otherwise, use a bigger eyed needle. Sometimes the finer needles are nicer if you're using, very delicate fabric. Then you'd want something that doesn't, isn't too big. So, but sometimes you want to use a lot of thread, so that's why this is another option. Now, you can double it up and then have 8 strands of thread if you'd like. That should work. Or, if you want something thicker, such as like this stitch right here, this stitch I believe I used 4. most of them I've just used the single thread like that. And then, so then I would do it again. I would just, you know, knot one end. If it's a big thick like this, I would just knot the one end instead of doing this type of knot. I'm going to do more of the adjustable length. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to wrap it around my finger. I'm going to pull it from the bottom up, and I'm going to do a double knot. So I'm going to do that again. I'm going to put it around the hole, and I'm going to pull it from the bottom up. And then I have a nice double knot, and that's how that works. The other thing I want to show you is maybe you want to get creative and use 2 different color threads at the same time, or 3 or more, which is also very fun. So here I have 3 different colors. I have gold, I have a red, and I have kind of a pinky color. So I want to put all of these through this little eye. And the only way I'm going to be able to do that is with this threader. So I'm going to put this eye through the threader. So there it is. And then I'm going to take all of those strands, which is 18 strands of fabric, of thread, of embroidery floss, and I'm going to put it through the threader. Let's see. Okay, I can do this. Let's start over. So we have all of these, and I'm going to put it through this little wired part. I'm going to pull it through a little bit more, and then I'm going to yank that thread through there now. It's a lot of thread, so you have to give it a little firm yank, and then you have the colorful embroidery floss. And I did use that on this section here. I used 2 different colors. So you can sew the whole book with this type of thread combination if you'd like, or you know, save it for a certain section, and you'll notice all the information will be in the little booklet. So this again is an adjustable length. I think if you were to do it doubled, that would be a lot of thread, and it might not go through your fabric, or there'll be a lot of resistance. So I hope that helped, and I hope that you learned something from this program. If you have any questions, feel free to email me at bridgethartdresses@gmail.com, or visit me at my website, bridgethartdresses.com, and you'll see the embroidery kits there, and you can always email me from there as well. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me. Thank you so much for watching this. I hope you learned something, and please share with me the fun, creative things that you've sewn or that you were going to sew. Have a great day.